Imagine a child who cannot see, cannot move, and yet learns to write stories, speak 3 languages, and dream entire worlds in his mind. What is this mysterious force that drives him to learn? What if learning isn't just something we do, but something that defines what it means to be human? In this video, we'll journey deep into the mind with neuroscientist Stanislas Dehaene, author of How We Learn, The New Science of Education and the Brain, and uncover how our brains truly learn, adapt, and grow. Learning. It's the force that built civilizations, created art, and sent humans into space. But what really happens inside our brain when we learn something new? In his groundbreaking book, Stanislas Dehaene, one of the world's leading cognitive neuroscientists, explores this very question. Through stories, science, and real-life miracles of the mind, he shows how learning is not just a classroom activity. It's the core of what makes us Homo docens, the species that teaches itself. The book begins with a powerful story. Felipe, a young Brazilian boy, paralyzed and blind after an accident, who still manages to become fluent in multiple languages and write novels. His brain, deprived of sight and movement, adapts and thrives. How is that possible? Because learning is wired into the very architecture of our brains. It's the most resilient, flexible, and essential power we possess. Part 1. What is learning? Chapter 1. 7 definitions of learning. Learning, as Dehaene reveals, is not about memorization. It's the act of creating internal models of the world. The brain is a simulation engine, constantly predicting and testing reality. Each time we experience something new, it fine-tunes its models, reducing errors and improving accuracy. He outlines 7 ways to define learning, each offering a glimpse into the brain's elegance. 1. Adjusting mental parameters, like recalibrating vision after new glasses. The brain constantly tweaks internal settings to align with reality. 2. Combinatorial creativity. From limited building blocks, the brain creates infinite combinations, like language or music, unlocking endless ideas. 3. Error correction. Every mistake refines understanding. The brain measures discrepancies between expectation and result, adjusting automatically. 4. Pattern extraction. Learning involves detecting regularities, rhythms, sequences, and rules, so that prediction becomes instinct. 5. Compression. The brain condenses vast data into simple principles, allowing it to store maximum meaning with minimal space. 6. Categorization. By grouping experiences, the brain speeds recognition and simplifies decision-making. 7. Hierarchical building. Small pieces combine into larger frameworks. Words form sentences, sentences form stories, and ideas interconnect into systems. Dehaene's message is clear. The brain doesn't store information, it shapes it. Learning is an act of construction, a sculpting of order from the chaos of experience. Chapter 2. Why our brain learns better than machines. Machines can analyze massive data sets, yet they lack what humans possess: context, emotion, and meaning. Dehaene compares artificial intelligence with the human mind to show how the brain's efficiency arises not from brute force, but from understanding. Our brains operate as Bayesian learners, constantly updating beliefs through probabilities and evidence. When a child learns a word like dog, they don't need thousands of examples. They infer meaning from a few encounters, refining it through observation and feedback. The brain generalizes, predicts, and corrects almost effortlessly. This efficiency stems from motivation and emotion. Dopamine rewards discovery, curiosity drives exploration, and social connection reinforces memory. The brain learns not to process data, but to make sense of experience. In contrast, machines lack intrinsic motivation. They don't care when they're right. Humans learn because learning matters. Dehaene reminds us that intelligence is not computation, it's comprehension. True learning arises when information connects to purpose. Part 2. How our brain learns. Chapter 3. Babies' invisible knowledge. From birth, babies arrive equipped with astonishing mental frameworks. They are not blank slates, but active experimenters, tiny scientists testing hypotheses about their world. Within days, they recognize voices and rhythms. Within months, they detect language patterns and cause and effect. Experiments show that infants predict outcomes and react when those predictions are broken, a sign that they're already forming expectations. Their brains are primed to extract structure from experience. They perceive quantities, recognize faces, and anticipate motion, all without formal teaching. But what truly fuels their growth is interaction. Every smile, word, and gesture from caregivers shapes neural circuits. Responsive environments nurture this innate drive, while neglect can silence it. Dehaene's conclusion is both scientific and humanistic. Babies don't need lessons, they need connection. Curiosity is their language, and love is their classroom. Chapter 4. The Birth of a Brain. Dehaene paints a vivid picture of how the brain constructs itself. In the womb, neurons form at lightning speed, connecting into vast networks. But these early circuits are raw and unrefined. Genes lay out the general structure, yet experience determines the wiring. In infancy, the brain produces an overabundance of connections, millions of potential pathways competing for survival. Through interaction with the environment, only the most useful ones strengthen while others fade in a process called synaptic pruning. This makes the brain more efficient, preserving flexibility while ensuring precision. Every sensory experience, light, sound, touch, acts as feedback, guiding this neural sculpting. The result is a uniquely human brain, capable of language, empathy, and reasoning. However, this adaptability also means vulnerability. Deprivation or lack of stimulation can hinder development. Still, the brain's plasticity offers hope. Even after early deficits, enriched environments can restore growth. The brain story is one of construction, refinement, and renewal. Chapter 5. Nurture's Share. Nature provides the blueprint, but nurture writes the story. Dehaene explores how experience and environment shape our learning potential. From the comforting tone of a parent's voice to the rhythm of a classroom, every stimulus sculpts the brain. He references studies of neglected children to illustrate how absence of care limits development. Yet when given love, language, and stimulation, the brain rebounds. Its neural architecture reawakens. This resilience reveals that nurture is not a supplement to biology, it's its partner. Nurture also shapes the content of intelligence. Children raised in musical homes develop stronger auditory perception. Those exposed to storytelling form rich verbal networks. Teachers and parents who engage curiosity and allow exploration activate dopamine pathways that enhance learning. Culture amplifies this process. Language, art, and education are collective tools that refine individual minds. Dehaene's insight is profound. Every human brain is born ready to learn, but it is environment that determines what and how well it learns. The mind grows not in isolation, but in relationship, with people, with culture, with the world itself. Chapter 6. Recycle Your Brain. Dehaene introduces one of the most striking insights in modern neuroscience. The brain doesn't create entirely new structures for each new skill. It recycles existing ones. This concept, known as neural recycling, explains how humans can acquire abilities like reading and mathematics, which are too recent in evolutionary history for dedicated brain modules to have evolved. He illustrates this with the example of reading. The brain repurposes a section of the visual cortex, originally evolved for object and face recognition, to identify written words and letters. This region, known as the visual word form area, becomes specialized through practice. In illiterate individuals, it remains devoted to visual perception, but in readers, it transforms, showing how adaptable our neural architecture truly is. The same principle applies to music, arithmetic, and tool use. When we learn to play an instrument, the auditory and motor regions refine themselves to synchronize rhythm and motion. When we study mathematics, spatial and visual areas of the brain assist with abstract reasoning. Our neurons collaborate and repurpose themselves, building new capacities atop ancient frameworks. This recycling also explains why adults can recover after brain injuries. When one area is damaged, nearby regions could take over its functions. It highlights a key idea that runs through Dehaene's work. The human brain is not a fixed machine, but a dynamic network capable of endless reinvention. Every new skill reshapes the brain's wiring. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for reconfiguration. Learning, therefore, is not just additive, it's transformative. Part 3. The 4 Pillars of Learning. Chapter 7. Attention. Attention is the entry point for learning. Without it, information simply passes through the mind without leaving a trace. Dehaene likens attention to a spotlight or a filter. It determines which pieces of sensory data the brain prioritizes. Out of the millions of signals we receive every second, attention selects the few that matter most. He explains 3 main systems that govern this process: alerting, keeping the mind awake and responsive; orienting, directing focus toward relevant stimuli; and executive control, maintaining focus and ignoring distractions. Together, they create a mental hierarchy where the most meaningful or interesting information is elevated for deeper processing. Modern life, filled with notifications and digital interruptions, constantly tests these systems. Multitasking, Dehaene warns, is a myth. Each switch in focus imposes a cognitive cost, fragmenting memory and weakening understanding. But attention, like a muscle, can be trained. Practices such as mindfulness, deep reading, and structured focus exercises strengthen the brain's ability to sustain concentration. In classrooms, attention thrives on emotional engagement. When students are curious, challenged, or inspired, their brains release dopamine, reinforcing the neural circuits that encode learning. Dehaene's conclusion is elegant. The first step in learning is to care. What we attend to becomes what we know. Chapter 8. Active Engagement. After attention comes action. Dehaene argues that knowledge sticks when learners actively participate in discovery. The brain doesn't absorb information passively. It constructs meaning through exploration, experimentation, and feedback. When we manipulate ideas or objects ourselves, we trigger multiple brain networks, making learning more vivid and enduring. Experiments show that both animals and humans learn faster when they control their environment. A mouse navigating a maze on its own forms stronger spatial memories than one passively guided through it. The same holds true for students. When they ask questions, debate, and experiment, their understanding deepens. Dehaene highlights the importance of curiosity as a biological motivator. When the brain encounters uncertainty or novelty, dopamine surges, fueling engagement. Effective teachers know this intuitively. They transform lessons into mysteries to be solved, not rules to be memorized. The learner becomes an explorer, driven by an inner sense of discovery. Active engagement also links to autonomy. Giving learners choices, what to study, how to solve a problem, boosts motivation and ownership. When we take initiative, we feel invested, and that emotional connection strengthens memory. Learning, Dehaene reminds us, is a creative act. The more we do, the more we understand. Chapter 9. Error Feedback. Dehaene calls mistakes the brain's teaching signals. When our predictions fail, the brain's error detection system lights up, prompting adjustments to internal models. This process is central to all learning, from throwing a ball to solving equations. Without feedback, improvement stalls. He describes a signal called the error-related negativity, ERN, a neural response that fires milliseconds after we recognize a mistake. It's the brain's way of saying, pay attention, something didn't match expectations. Each time this happens, new connections form, gradually fine-tuning accuracy. Learning is, at its core, a cycle of trial, error, and correction. However, modern education often suppresses this natural mechanism. Students are conditioned to fear mistakes rather than learn from them. Dehaene insists that this mindset must change. Errors are not failures. They are data. Teachers should give immediate constructive feedback that identifies what went wrong and how to improve. Environments that celebrate experimentation instead of punishing failure produce faster, more confident learners. Ultimately, progress comes not from avoiding errors, but from embracing them. Each misstep is a compass pointing toward deeper understanding. Chapter 10, Consolidation. The final stage of learning is consolidation, the process of turning fragile, short-term insights into durable, long-term knowledge. Dehaene compares it to saving a file on a computer. The initial learning experience is temporary storage. Consolidation transfers it to the brain's permanent archive. This process unfolds in two main ways. The first is repetition. Revisiting and reinforcing what we've learned strengthens neural pathways. The second, and more surprising, is sleep. During sleep, especially deep and REM stages, the brain replays recent experiences, replaying patterns of activity to strengthen them. It's as if the brain is silently studying overnight. Dehaene cites evidence that sleep deprivation drastically impairs memory formation. Students who rest after learning recall more effectively than those who cram late into the night. The brain needs downtime to weave knowledge into its broader network of understanding. But consolidation isn't just about rest. It's also about reflection. Reviewing, summarizing, and teaching others forces the brain to restructure information, solidifying it further. Likewise, spacing out learning sessions, known as spaced repetition, ensures that knowledge becomes deeply rooted over time. Dehaene concludes that effective learning follows a rhythm. Attention captures knowledge, engagement explores it, feedback refines it, and consolidation anchors it. Sleep, rest, and reflection aren't pauses in learning. They're where learning truly sinks in. Conclusion: reconciling education with neuroscience. Dehaene's ultimate message is clear. If we want to revolutionize education, we must align it with how the brain truly learns. Teaching should be built on the four pillars: focus, engagement, feedback, and consolidation. Schools should foster curiosity, not conformity, wonder, not memorization. Every child is born with the same miraculous machinery for learning. What they need is not just instruction, but inspiration. The science of learning doesn't just reveal how to teach better. It reminds us of something profound, that inside every brain lies a spark waiting to ignite. So, the next time you learn something new, remember, you're not just storing facts. You're reshaping your brain, rewriting your mind, and evolving as a human being. That's the true power of learning.